this episode, I want to discuss the supposed mother of all Utahnisms, what people mistakenly call tea-dropping. Please stop calling it that, okay? This characteristic has to do with the pronunciation of words like mountain. Now, I was born and raised in Utah, but spent a good number of years away living in other states. When I returned, I heard lots of comments about how Utahns pronounced mountain funny and how they dropped their T's. So as a linguist, my ears perked up, and I started listening to Utahns' pronunciations of words like mitten, Layton, mountain, and beaten. The first thing I'm here to tell you is that they are not dropped in Utah. That is, they aren't deleted. If they were, the pronunciation of these words would be min, layan, mountain, bein, and it's not. They aren't dropped or deleted. But they have been transformed into a different consonant called a glottal stop that we represent with this symbol that kind of looks like a question mark but isn't. So say these words out loud to yourself as you would in casual conversation. Unless you are really hyper-vigilant about things, you probably pronounce the T's as glottal stops. Batman, football. The T doesn't disappear in these words but takes on a different pronunciation. Now in general, people think of language sounds in terms of their spelling. They think that spelling should govern pronunciation, which is actually way off base. First of all, because the written language is based on the spoken language, not vice versa. Second, English puts all sorts of stuff in spelling that no one, even language purists, would pronounce. Consider the highlighted letters in these words. Third, while the letters used to spell don't vary depending on where they appear in the word, the sounds that the letters represent do change. Think of a letter as representing a person named Bob. So Bob has different clothes and wears them according to the situation he's in. Suits are appropriate for job interviews, and gym shorts are appropriate when playing sports, while a helmet is the right attire for a military operation. The same is true of letters and sounds. The person is the same person, regardless of the clothes they're wearing, and the letter is the same letter, but changes its pronunciation, close, depending on the context it appears in. So the letter T puts on its T pronunciation, close, in words like tin, attack, termite. It puts on what we call a tap pronunciation in these words, fatty, attic, city. Some people mistakenly refer to this as pronouncing T's as D's. Finally, T's put on their glottal stop pronunciation when followed by a consonant, as in Batman, football, as well as when followed by an N consonant, mitten, mountain, Layton. To be clear, this isn't just a Utah thing. American speakers transform their T's into glottal stops in words like these unless they're being really overly careful about how they're pronouncing or unless they're imitating a British accent. I mean, think about it. John Denver saying Rocky Mountain High with a glottal stop, not Rocky Mountain High. So, the point of this long diatribe is this. Pronouncing T's as glottal stops is American, not Utahn, and the T's aren't dropped or completely deleted, but merely put on their glottal stop close in these words. But there is something different about how Utahns pronounce mountain, right? Yes, there is, but it has nothing to do with the pronunciation of T as a glottal stop. Let's look at what happens when you pronounce glottal stops. What you're doing is blocking off the airflow coming up from your lungs by pressing your vocal folds together. Now, when you open them up again, air comes rushing out and needs to escape somewhere. There are two passages it can escape from. The first is through your nose. This results in a nasal release. The blocked air can also be channeled out of the mouth. This is an oral release of the glottal stop. General American pronunciation releases glottal stops nasally. They sound like this: mitten, Layton, mountain, beaten. What people hear that is different in Utah is that glottal stops are released orally. They sound like this: mitten, Layton, mountain, beaten. Essentially, the oral release puts a vowel between the glottal stop and the N sound. Matt Savage and I studied the pronunciation of words like these and found that not all Utahns use oral releases. It is most prevalent among younger women than it is in other groups. We presented our findings to other linguists, and all sorts of people came up to us to tell us that they'd heard oral release pronunciations in speakers from all sorts of places like California, Connecticut, Indiana, Vermont, and New Mexico. Earl Brown and I followed up on this study and did one of our own. We looked at people from Utah, New Mexico, Indiana, and Mississippi, and we asked people from those states to read a letter that had lots of words like mountain in it. Here's what we found. Younger speakers used more oral releases, and they appeared in 24% of the cases in New Mexican speech, 12% in Utah, 9% in Indiana, and 2% in Mississippi. So, New Mexicans actually out-oral release Utahns. Lots of people fall prey to the different means unique effect when they hear oral releases in Utah and falsely assume that they are unique to Utah. Now, there is no doubt that they exist in Utah, but they aren't limited to the political boundaries of the Beehive State. There are more interesting topics on Utah dialect to explore in upcoming episodes, so check back.